I'm gonna be watching a video about modern relationships. Modern relationships are so messed up. Even before I watch it, I think it is. One thing is social media and people just comparing themselves to each other, because now, more than ever in the entire time of human existence, you can see and keep up to date with what people are doing with their lives as they put it out there. And stuff like just lots of physical stuff like looks. You might be with a partner, but they might not know, but you might be looking at all these other attractive guys, lusting all over them, or having celebrity crushes or stuff like this, blah blah blah. It's just really like, yeah. And same goes for guys. Maybe looking at girls' butts, comparing them. Oh, that one's bigger. That one's And yeah, that has had a negative impact on relationships. Those are just some examples, but let's get into this vid. But relationships these days, yeah, it's very different than in the
The
past.
modern relationship is struggling. But why? How did things become so messy with dating? Have you ever seen those videos on social media of old couples being interviewed about when they met and how they made it so far? I've always loved watching those videos for two reasons.
Wholesome, bro.
First,
Pure.
how the relationship started and progressed is almost always too bizarre to believe. Like this older gentleman named Albert will say, "Well, I saw Betsy from across the neighborhood swimming hole when I was 16 and I knew right then and there she was the one for me." And Betsy will say, "Well, I played hard to get, but I knew I loved him from day one." And then the old guy goes off to war or something, and the day he comes back, the first thing they do is get married, and they've lived happily ever after ever since.
Crazy.
Second, and most importantly, it means that real love actually does exist in ordinary life as ordinary days pass us by, and not just in some acted scenes behind a screen. Whenever I look at the comments of videos like these, I see people longing for what they have, but I also see people asking the big question: why does it feel like this never happens anymore? Why do modern relationships...
Bro, there's so many people. Like, and from personal experience with girls, they say they want this. They say, "Oh, I want a nice, caring guy. I want someone that takes me serious." Blah blah blah. But sometimes when you end up doing that, they end up sabotaging. They end up doing bad stuff, knowing you're good for them, just because maybe they've never had a good guy before. Maybe it's all been a piece of crap. And sometimes in their head, it's that hard for them to believe that they've got something good in their life. They don't believe it's true. They don't believe. So they just destroy it. And also, one thing, I saw this video, and this guy was just talking about how, you know, girls, oh, what's it called? Girls are told like how they should be treated, you know? I might be misquoting. It's like, girls are taught to for what to expect from men, you know. But it's not like, but they're not really taught how to treat a man. That's the sense of it. It's like, oh yeah, your man needs to do this, do that, do that. But like, are you gonna treat him? Are you gonna treat him right? Are you gonna treat him good? But that's a generalization,
feel so screwed up? I think there are a few reasons, but to...
and that can go for the same as guys as well. Just both sides of the coin, really. Guys might be like, oh, I want a nice fit girl, blah blah blah. She does this, does that, does that. But they don't look at themselves in the mirror and say, if I was a girl, would I date a guy like me? Most of the time, it'll be no, bro, no. If I had a daughter, would I want my daughter to date a guy that does stuff I do? No. But they have very high expectations for the woman that they want in their life. But they're all the way down here. They don't have the expectations from themselves, and also that they withhold and actually, keep those expectations of themselves and actually become what they expect. Because, everyone wants... It's like, this is what people think about. People always want... Lots of people think about and want the one. I want the one. I want the one girl. I want the one guy. But people rarely think about becoming the one. Becoming that one for someone else. They don't think about becoming the one. They just think about the one for them. They're just thinking about taking but not giving.
Me, the reason that stands above the rest is social media.
Yes.
Yeah, what a shocker. I think a lot of these problems with modern relationships begin before a relationship has even started. Social media has taught us that there is a measuring stick when it comes to your capacity to be loved. And if we haven't reached the right threshold, it's pretty pointless to even try. The general public is really quick nowadays to intensely criticize others on social media for their negative features and traits. I think that when we take in too much of that negativity, it changes how our little pea brains work. And over time, we end up convincing ourselves that those nasty criticisms we hear are normal and valid, which can absolutely cause us to criticize ourselves in the same way. That does a lot of damage to someone.
Yeah. They say all this crap, but you gotta think about it. It's behind a screen. See all those hate comments, you might get roasted. Would that happen IRL to your face? Some. But the same degree? No. People get a lot more bravery when they do it behind a screen, bro. You know? That's why you shouldn't take it to heart. Maybe if you put yourself out there. Like, this is besides love, but as me, I make YouTube vids. You put yourself out there, you might get a hate comment. But it's a side, it's the internet, bro. You know, people are a lot more brave. It's not real life.
One who doubts they are capable of being loved at all. I use this example because I've been there. When I was younger, I was the really skinny guy, and I was pretty insecure about it. People always used to tell me how small I was, and I hated that. If social media was like it is now, and I was constantly reading comments from random strangers like this one, that would have been devastating for my already low self-confidence. And on top of all of that, it's easy to look at people who appear to have a lot going for them on social media and play the comparison game.
Yes, they're all fake. I mean, they're not all, but so much of it is fake. It's just a persona, bro. Think about me. I try to be as real as I can, bro. You know, I show you the highlights, but I also talk about how I feel like deep down sometimes, and you know, I talk about my insecurity sometimes, stuff that I don't like about myself, stuff how I feel about. I try to be real, bro. You know, I just try to be, and it gives you guys something else to relate towards me.
Game. If I just wasn't ugly, or if I just made more money, maybe I wouldn't be feeling so lonely. Social media gives us access to the top 1% of insanely attractive and wealthy people. And when we see
people see that and they think it's the norm, you know? They might see, because, you know, say a dude, he's down bad, all he looks at is like IG models or like actual models, and then eventually the algorithm, say Instagram, builds that up. So then his whole For You page is full of that. And then he thinks that's just how it is. They're everywhere. But you might live in a little town and there might be no girls like that. Or you might see one in real life. And that's how it was in the past, bro. Before this, you would see one maybe amazingly beautiful girl, like a model girl. Not saying if you ain't a model, that don't mean you're beautiful or cute. Or, no, but like a model. Not everyone can be a model. Let's be real. With like the beauty standards we have here for model, not everyone can be it. But you might see only a handful of those in your entire life. But now social media, you can see, bro, too many for you to even look at these days. You know.
That all the time, it makes us feel like we're inferior in comparison really quick. Social media and play the comparison game. If I just wasn't ugly, or if I just made more money, maybe I wouldn't be feeling so lonely. Social media gives us access to the top 1% of insanely attractive and wealthy people. And when we see that all the time, it makes us feel like we're inferior in comparison really quickly. Social media is really good at showing us how good we don't have it. There are so many reasons to believe you're unlovable if the thing you're spending hours a day doing is communicating to you that you're not good enough. If the older generation was constantly criticizing and comparing themselves like we seem to do, then maybe stories like these wouldn't have happened at all. I'm not sure if you've caught on yet, but people have a tendency to set up unfair expectations as to what traits their partner absolutely needs to have in order to be considered worthy to invest in. Men and women do this equally. Don't get it twisted, my 79% male audience. I have personally seen videos in which women claim their man needs to make 6 figures and be 6 feet tall at a minimum.
Yeah, bro. Oh, and you know, the thing is, stuff like these girls right here, don't even bother with them. don't bother. Because if you don't fall into that category, don't bother. Same for girls. Same for girls and guys. Don't bother, bro. If they have these high expectations because everything that they've been seeing on social media, don't bother with them. You know, if you're not what they want, let them try to find that unicorn. You know?
And I've seen videos or comment sections where men are actively bashing women who don't have the body type they're looking for. Even if you don't do these things, which I'm sure you don't because you're all perfect, social media has a way of sticking with you, slowly building up this image of society's ideal partner over time. And if we're taking in content like this, one day we could end up believing that we actually do need these traits or features in order to feel satisfied with our partner. Potentially not even for our own happiness, but to satisfy the societal norms set around us.
Yeah,
Another
bad.
issue that I'm sure comes to mind here is watching adult content on the internet that's
Bro, this cooks you so bad. It really does. It's, oh my gosh, it's so bad. And if you get into a cycle, it's bad. Well, I've been in cycles, bro, in the past. And it's just a waste of time. You waste so much time.
And also with adult content and relationships, if you watch porn while in a relationship, that's cheating, bro. Because why are you out here playing with yourself, masturbating to another male or female while you've got a boyfriend or girlfriend or wife or a husband? Like, that's disgusting, you know? I don't do that, bro. That's disgusting. Like, yeah. And I would never be with someone that consistently does that. Like, no, I don't do that. That's gross, bro.
adult content on the internet that's extremely damaging for our mental. As a man, this content is so harmful because it paints the way that we view, think about, and interact with women
it wrecks relationships.
really poorly. If you're watching this consistently, you're gonna get so used to this fake image of what a woman looks like and what a woman as a partner should be in your life that when you start to interact with real women, you're just gonna sound like a bumbling idiot trying to communicate with an alien or something. This is not what the standard is, my guy. The unrealistic pictures of what life and love should be like, painted by the content we take in on our phones, can easily cause our standards for relationships to skyrocket to levels that are really challenging for any normal human to reach. I think social media has tricked us into believing that the right relationship should be totally smooth sailing.
Okay, I was gonna pause it earlier, but this wasn't working. But apparently, I've seen some TikTok, some short vids. Apparently, I've heard that some girls can tell if a guy watches porn. I'm not sure if that's true, but that's just what I've heard. Like the energy, they've got a different energy, like a gooner. They can tell. But yeah, it does build false expectations because it's acting. It's not real. You know, you see these girls moaning and groaning, and it looks like they're enjoying it. Maybe they are, but lots of the time they're not because it's acting, bro. It's not real. It's all staged.
All the way through because that's what real love looks like. If you really love someone, then it should be a piece of cake forever. And if it isn't, then it just isn't a match, right?
See, this is the thing, bro. Like, I've had this issue before. Like, girls or a girl have been like, nah, it's hard. But I'm like, you know? Because they expect everything to be right. That they expect is if everything isn't smooth sailing, they're not the right person. No. That's just not true, bro. That's not true. Like, you guys need to work together. Relationships. Like, you see old couples, they've been together 50, 70 years, bro. Do you think everything was smooth sailing? No, they've had to apologize. They've had to make up with each other so many times, bro. So many times. You know? It's a team. It's team effort, bro. It's you two against the world. You guys, and you two against your problems as well. It's not about everything being smooth. It's about you two being able to work through it, bro. And that's what people don't understand. They think, oh, if he's right, we don't need to work on anything. No, bro. No.
Real relationships are challenging. I'm not saying that every relationship is bound to be a bloodbath with fights all the time. I'm just saying that you have to be willing to make sacrifices often, and you have to be willing to step up and take accountability when it's necessary. One of the biggest differences between a relationship that thrives and one that struggles is you being able to happily make the sacrifices and take accountability because you know that even though that stuff isn't necessarily fun, the person that you're with makes it more than worth it. Take it from a guy who's married. My wife will ask me to go do stuff with her pretty often that I do not care about at all. like go see a play or something. And it would be easy for me to say, no, I'd rather do things that
you'd
interest
still
me,
go
like
do it,
drawing
bro.
stick figures all day. But I know she recognizes the sacrifice I'm making by putting my interests aside and involving myself in hers, even if it's just a small one. Relationships are a challenge. Not every
Yeah, you just gotta put yourself out there with your partner, even though you don't like it. Do it because you know she likes it, bro.
day is going to be easy, and that can seem like a wake-up call for some. The difference should be that the right person makes the challenge and the sacrifice worth it every time. I don't have any real stats to back this stuff up, but I do think that people in general have lost their way when it comes to what a real relationship looks like
Facts.
and feels like, primarily thanks to the falsehoods that rampant social media use has tricked us into believing. And if you're watching a video with this title, I'm sure you believe that too. Even with all the chaos and nonsense when it comes to modern relationships, I think the best, most tangible thing we can do is take a good long look at ourselves. I feel like the majority of relationship discussions and advice on YouTube are always looking out for how to identify a good partner or how to avoid a bad one, but I don't see quite as many videos talking about how we ourselves can be a good partner.
Bro, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, bro. They're like, oh, I want this, I want that, but I want to find the one, but no one's thinking about becoming the one for someone else.
Partner in the future. If you're interested in that, then you'll have to be really honest with yourself about your strengths
Yes,
and
bro.
weaknesses. Bettering yourself is never
But people are too self-righteous and delusional, bro. Narcissistic, bro. You know? I remember, bro, speaking of narcissism, you know, my ex, I think it was the first time we talked after the breakup, she dumped me. Long story, I might tell you guys another time how it went down. But I was like, oh, let's tell each other, you know, let's do this little activity. I thought of it. We both take turns telling the other person everything we done wrong in the relationship and we could have done better. I went first. I listed off a few things I think I done wrong and could have done better. And when it was her turn, she was like, I can't think of anything. I genuinely can't think of anything I done wrong. Are you serious? Because I know a lot of that's messed up stuff that she made me feel and stuff like that. But she was that self-righteous. She's narcissistic because, you know, like it makes me, maybe she's saying that to make me look like the bad guy. So her breaking up with me doesn't, like, seems justified. That's what they do. So yeah. I listed off. I was being honest, but she was like, I can't think of anything I done wrong in the entire relationship. Come on, bro. And this is what, this is like the thing. If you want to become the one, you gotta be honest with yourself. Obviously, she ain't honest because she reckons she done nothing wrong.
going to be a bad thing. You do it for a lot of reasons, including your future partner, but if that doesn't work out, then hey, at least you did it for yourself, I guess. After that, I would encourage you to, and please stay with me here, try anyway. If you're still questioning it, you are capable of being loved, and there are still people out there who want to do relationships the right way, I promise. It might be really hard to get that ball rolling, or it might feel impossible when you just keep meeting absolutely terrible people like these ones, but you can't give up on it. There was an old piece of advice that I heard a long time ago that said, putting your heart out there is never a mistake. Never let your heart become calloused. And that's stuck with me for over a decade now. It would get me through some hard times, like in middle school when I would send a girl a "I like you, do you like me?" text after weeks of deliberating because I was so nervous. And her first response would be, LOL. Also, of course, take what you see and hear on social media about relationships with a grain of salt, including content from me. If you're questioning whether or not this is sound advice, then think about it this way. If enough people watch this and utilize what they hear, eventually maybe two people will meet who applied my ideas to their dating lives, and I will have become the ultimate matchmaker in the process. That would be kind of neat, for me at least. Relationships today are messy. I've personally felt and experienced that, but
Relationships have always been messy, but I feel like it's just messier. It's more messy than ever.
also felt
because
the
of
joy
social
that
media.
eventually comes when you don't give up, even when you're given reason.
And social media is so messed up because, like, a girl, there's that many guys, you know, and sometimes, you know, it is true. She already knows the next guy. She's got her on the Instagram and all that. You know, guy friends. Personally, I don't do guy friends. If you got guy friends, don't come near me. I don't want nothing to do with you. I've been through that. I don't want to do it again. I don't do guy friends. You know, I don't have female friends like that. So, the girl has guy friends. I'm not bothering. That's just one thing with me. But yeah. sometimes they already know what the next guy, bro. Social media. Because back in the day, you didn't really have that because you need to see people in person. But now you can have like a bunch of names, accounts, message. It's just a mess, bro. It's hard. But yeah, this is some of the reasons that social media, that dating today is kind of scuffed, bro. And yeah, hopefully you learned something from this. I wish you guys luck, people who have genuine intentions for everyone. I have genuine intentions. It's hard to find someone on the same timing, but time will come. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it does, it does. And, you know, I'll be cheering. But yeah, bro. Dating in 2025 is kind of scuffed these days. But you can make it through. And don't go chasing, bro. You shouldn't go looking, bro. Because if it comes, it comes. Don't go out of your way, I feel like. But yeah. I wish you luck on your dating journey. And thank you for watching.